"This chair isn't for you." The words weren't loud, but they were precise and cruel in a way that didn't need volume. They landed like a whisper wrapped in perfume and pity. The kind of line spoken by someone who'd rehearsed it on other faces, other bodies, other women she decided didn't belong. Clare Whitmore didn't flinch, not with her face, but something behind her eyes stilled. She was seated in her own flagship clinic. Her name was on the building, but today no one in this Beverly Hills lobby knew who she was. And that was the point. She didn't come dressed like the founder of Élan Radiance, the luxury cosmetic brand known for redefining refinement. No jewelry, no designer labels, no camera-ready face, just clean jeans, a plain blouse, and skin that wore its age unapologetically. She had walked in 15 minutes earlier and waited without being greeted. No eye contact, no offer of rose water, no warmth, just a clipboard, just a transaction, until it wasn't. The woman standing across from her, early 30s, surgically flawless, skin polished like glass, hadn't even looked at Claire's name when she glanced at the form. She gave a dismissive smile, the kind reserved for women who don't look like before and after ad potential. "We usually require prepayment for first-time walk-ins," she said with a polite chill. Claire nodded. "That's fine." That's when the woman laughed, leaned down slightly, and delivered the blow. "This chair isn't for you." And then she just turned, as if that was policy, not prejudice. Claire's fingers still rested on the smooth white armrest of the consultation chair. Her posture didn't change. Her voice didn't rise. She just let the silence grow heavy. Let the air in the room show her the truth. This wasn't about policy. This was about perception. She looked around. The clinic's branding was everywhere. Minimalism wrapped in opulence. Gold-trimmed mirrors, white marble floors, a glowing screen looping transformation montages of ageless faces. All carefully curated, all cold. 10 years ago, she had picked the color of the walls herself, had signed off on every diffuser oil, every fiber of that chair's leather. She had envisioned a space that made women feel seen, not sorted. But now, sitting there as a stranger, she realized something that made her chest tighten. This place didn't see women. It scanned them, filtered them, decided who was marketable and who wasn't. Claire stood slowly, nodded once, and walked out. Not because she was done, because she was just getting started. Why would a luxury cosmetic clinic turn away a paying client like Claire? She didn't look wealthy enough. 2. She didn't fit their aesthetic marketing mold. 3. They use an internal filter system to prioritize clients. 4. Someone inside is hiding something far darker. Drop your answer in the comments. Because this wasn't just about beauty, it was about control, and what happens next will peel back every single layer. Claire didn't storm out. She didn't demand the manager or throw her name around. That was never her way. She had built her career not by shouting, but by observing, by reading rooms, decoding smiles, and tracking the hidden patterns of behavior most people missed. That's why she didn't go home. She walked back in, not into the consultation room, but into the waiting lounge. And she sat, right back in the same chair where so many women had once waited, nervously checking their reflections, adjusting hair strands, or tugging on sleeves to make themselves smaller. Except this time, Claire wasn't sitting as the CEO. She was sitting as the unwanted, the not on brand, the invisible. From that seat, she watched as a 22-year-old blonde walked in minutes later, glowing skin, neon manicure, effortlessly confident. She was offered a chilled bottle of rose water before she even reached the desk, greeted by name, walked through with a compliment and a smile. Then came another woman, older, soft-spoken, grey roots showing, slightly faded floral blouse. The receptionist's tone dropped, neutral and disinterested. "Actually, we're pretty full today. I can refer you to another location." The woman smiled politely, nodded, and left. But Claire could see it, the weight in her shoulders, the familiar ache of quiet rejection. This place had become something Claire never intended, not a clinic, a filter. And that filter wasn't just digital, it was human. It was polished teeth and trained smiles and pre-coded gestures delivered in less than 10 seconds. Claire sat back and watched more. A woman of colour, a tired mother, a nervous woman with a stack of questions and no foundation, all quietly delayed, redirected, minimized, all while the glossy right women were led through. She wasn't ready to act, not yet. But tomorrow? Tomorrow she wouldn't walk in as a stranger. Claire returned the next morning. No foundation, no designer scarf, same jeans, same quiet presence, and this time, no appointment. She simply walked into the flagship Beverly Hills clinic, the crown jewel of her empire, and sat in the same chair as yesterday, the one near the diffuser. Just enough distance to see, but not be seen. The receptionist glanced up once, gave a flat smile, then looked back down at her screen. No, welcome back. No, can I help you? Just that. Subtle disinterest that told Claire she had successfully become invisible again. Perfect. She hadn't come for service. She came for proof. Claire's eyes moved methodically, observing the flow like a researcher. Every movement had meaning now. Every pause, every delay, every false smile carried data. A woman entered. Mid-40s, gold hoop earrings, tailored cream, jumpsuit, confident posture, greeted immediately. Good morning, Ms. Gentry. Cappuccino while you wait? The receptionist tapped her sleek black tablet, a device Claire knew too well. It wasn't just for scheduling, it was for sorting, designed years ago during a company-wide overhaul to streamline experiences. But now Claire suspected, it was being used for something far colder. 2 minutes later, a consultant appeared and escorted the woman down the glowing hallway. Claire watched her disappear, then turned her gaze to the next client. Darker skin, oversized sweater, nervous posture. She stepped up with caution and gave her name clearly, but softly. The receptionist's expression didn't change, but her fingers moved differently this time. A pause. A long one. Then, we're running a bit behind. You're welcome to. Wait, or I can help reschedule you for another day. The woman blinked. She nodded, shoulders slumping ever so slightly, and stepped aside. Claire leaned forward. She had seen that pause before. That wasn't indecision. That was protocol. She circled the room casually, and as the receptionist took a call, Claire moved closer, just enough to glance over the edge of the screen. And there it was, next to each client name. Small, glowing tags. Short. Codes C1, PR+, FNB, C4. She nearly stopped breathing. Those codes weren't visible to clients. They weren't public. But she remembered them. Back when the tech was in beta, her product development team used the codes to flag clients for personalized service models. C1, high value, ideal for full service upsell. PR+, photogenic, strong social potential. FNB, first time but branded, referred via influencers. And then, C4 wasn't about money. It wasn't about skin condition. It was cold, calculated brand control. C4 meant not on brand, not too poor, not unqualified, not inappropriate, just unmarketable. Claire's stomach turned. She watched again. A young woman in ripped jeans walked in, tattoo peeking from her collarbone. Warm, expressive energy. She greeted the desk with a smile. Appointment. Under Harper Lane. Another pause on the tablet. 3. Slight potential. Low ROI. The receptionist's eyes scanned her, top to bottom. We're just getting caught up. Feel free to take a seat. It might be a bit. It wouldn't be. Claire knew that. Harper Lane would wait 20 minutes, maybe more. And then she'd be politely told they'd have to reschedule. She was being filtered. Not medically. Aesthetically. The realization stung deeper than Claire expected, because this wasn't a rogue receptionist. It wasn't just one judgmental consultant. It was the system. The machine she had helped build, meant to deliver personalized care, had mutated into a gatekeeper for beauty elitism. She sank back in her chair. Her pulse was steady, but her thoughts raced, and then she saw her again. The brunette esthetician from yesterday. Chloe, young, fresh-faced. She walked by the desk carrying a tray of products, paused briefly, and looked down at the client, tablet. Claire caught the micro-expression, a flicker of discomfort. Chloe looked across the room toward the woman in the sweater. Their eyes met. There was something unspoken in that moment. Recognition, guilt, maybe resistance. But before Chloe could move, a sharp voice cut across the hallway. Chloe. Now it was the manager, tall, blonde, immaculately dressed, clipboard in hand, walking like she owned the air around her. Chloe flinched, turned, and disappeared down the corridor. Claire watched the scene quietly, burning it into memory. This wasn't policy. This was hierarchy. This was branding turned into bias. Clinical care reduced to casting calls. The real work wasn't happening in treatment rooms anymore. It was happening here, at this desk, with these tablets, with these codes. And if it didn't stop now, it wouldn't stop at all. Claire reached into her crossbody bag and tapped a hidden app on her phone. The screen blinked once, then turned red. Now recording. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. Observation. Beverly Hills location. Evidence of client segmentation based on non-medical factors. Internal tag system in place. Possible protocol. Filtering by appearance and marketability. She hit save and whispered again. This ends here. It was late afternoon when Claire saw it happen. The sun had dipped just enough to cast golden light across the lobby's marble floor. The diffuser hummed quietly, still pumping out lemon rose balm. The screen behind the reception desk looped, testimonials from surgically enhanced influencers smiling in slow motion. But nothing could distract her from what was unfolding 10 feet away. A woman had just come in, early 50s. Dark eyes, expensive but modest blazer. Her hands trembled slightly as she filled out her intake form. Not from age, but from nerves. Claire had seen that tremble before. It wasn't fear of pain. It was fear of judgment. When she handed the clipboard over, the receptionist barely looked up. What brings you in today? The woman spoke gently. I have a wedding in a few weeks. My daughter's. I just want to feel like myself. A little refreshed, that's all. The receptionist nodded without emotion. One of our consultants will be with you shortly. The woman took a seat, smoothing her skirt, glancing up at the glowing walls of younger women on the screen. Faces that no longer blinked or creased. Claire didn't blink either. A few minutes later, Ava arrived. Mid-30s, head of consultation. A woman who never missed a sale and always smiled with her teeth, but not her eyes. Mrs. Dennings, Ava called brightly. The woman stood, clutching her purse like armor. Claire watched as they disappeared down the hall into one of the white consultation pods. She knew what would happen in there, knew the script, but she had to see it for herself. She stood slowly, pretended to be on a call, and paced toward the hallway. As she neared the glass panel, she stopped just outside, perfectly in shadow, but with a view inside. The consultation had already begun. Ava was standing behind the woman now, holding a hand mirror at a slight angle, tilting the woman's chin, speaking softly but directly. We can lift this area here, soften the jawline, feel the volume loss under the eyes. Mrs. Dennings nodded silently, eyes fixed on her own reflection. One Ava was slowly breaking apart, section by section. And if we do the PRP infusion with a mild resurfacing, Ava added, you'll glow, and you'll be wedding photo, ready in time. She said it kindly, but Claire could hear it clearly. You're not enough yet, Mrs. Dennings finally spoke. Is all that really Necessary. Ava smiled, still poised. It's not necessary, but it will make a difference. We want you to feel like the best version of you. Mrs. Dennings looked down at the tablet Ava had handed her. A total cost of nearly 3,200 long. She swallowed hard. I was hoping to stay under 1,000, she whispered. Ava didn't blink. We can do partials, but I wouldn't recommend it. We want you to feel complete. This is a legacy moment, your daughter's big day. Imagine these photos lasting forever. Mrs. Dennings didn't say anything, just nodded slowly and reached for her wallet. Claire felt something twist inside her. She had seen manipulation before, but this was targeted. Pressure hidden under polish. This wasn't about helping someone feel better. This was about making someone feel broken just long enough to buy a fix. And then she heard it. A small knock. Behind her. Claire turned and saw Chloe. She stood frozen in the hallway, half whispering. You saw that, didn't you? Claire stared at her, eyes narrowing, slightly. What do you think I saw? Chloe hesitated, then looked around, and said it anyway. She does it all the time. Ava, they all do. They use the emotional push points, the scripts, legacy moment, forever photos, the pressure tactics. It's expected. Her voice cracked. Claire tilted her head. Expected by who? Chloe looked ashamed. Upper management. Not directly, but the way they talk. We all know. The C4s don't get the warmth. The PR Plus clients get fast-tracked. There's training phrases. How to say no kindly. How to steer them out. We're taught it like hospitality. Claire exhaled slowly. She saw it now. Chloe wasn't just an observer. She was drowning in a system she didn't create, but couldn't escape. Why are you telling me this? Claire asked gently. Chloe glanced toward the consultation room. Because that woman in there looks like my mum, and my mum stopped going places like this because she started to believe she didn't belong in them. That hit Claire hard, not just because of what it meant, but because she realized something else. Chloe was trying to save someone else, because she hadn't been able to save herself. Then Chloe said something that changed everything. I tried to speak up once. I flagged it on our internal feedback form. I got told to refocus on conversion, that if I couldn't match energy with the brand, maybe I didn't fit. Claire stared at her, then whispered, You do fit, just not into their version of this place. Chloe looked at her with a flicker of curiosity, but before she could ask anything more, Ava's voice rang out from down the hall. Chloe, need assistance with prep. Now. Chloe turned, and for a brief second, her eyes said everything. I'm still inside this machine. I just don't want to be part of it anymore. Claire stood still, the moment echoing inside her. This place wasn't just filtering clients. It was erasing employees, training them to forget empathy, to trade kindness for polish, and calling it service. Not anymore. She took out her phone, opened the recorder again. Voice low, razor calm. Final confirmation. Staff using coded pressure, scripts, emotional profiling active, internal fear culture present. Ethical compromise confirmed. Proceeding to step 2. It was 10:06 a.m. when Claire stepped through the clinic doors. Again. But this time, she didn't come to sit quietly. This time, she came to speak. The marble floors gleamed. The reception desk looked as untouched as ever, but something felt different. Not because the space had changed, but because she had. No hoodie, no disguise, no downcast eyes. She wore black, tailored, understated, intentional, no logo, no name tag, just presence. She walked straight past the front desk. No one stopped her. At first, "Ma'am?" the receptionist called, uncertain. Claire didn't respond. She was already headed for the main hallway, past the crystal water station, past the branded LED mirrors, toward the inner conference lounge. It was Thursday. The staff alignment briefing, was already in progress. Perfect. She opened the glass door without knocking. Half a dozen consultants sat around a long white table. Ava stood at the head, mid-sentence, gesturing toward a dashboard on a wall-mounted screen. Red tags, performance data, upsell conversion ratios. She turned, startled. "Excuse me, this meeting is private." Claire didn't slow down. She walked to the center of the room, and then, softly, clearly, she said, "I know, I scheduled it 10 years ago, when I signed your first paycheck." The silence was instant, tense. Total Ava froze. Someone dropped a pen. One of the newer staff members looked between Claire and the screen like she was trying to solve a puzzle that just rearranged itself in real time. I'm sorry, who?" Ava tried to ask, but her voice cracked midway. Claire turned to face the room. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "My name is Clare Whitmore. I founded Élan Radiance. I signed off on the first color of the walls in this building. I trained the first wave of consultants. And I sat in your lobby for 3 days while you quietly erased women who didn't match your algorithm." Someone gasped. Someone else swallowed audibly. "I heard the codes. I saw the filters. I watched older clients get pushed out. I saw a woman talked into a $3,200 transformation she didn't need. Because your script told you her daughter's wedding was a chance to make her feel less invisible." Ava opened her mouth to speak, but Claire lifted a hand gently. "Don't explain. I didn't come here for apologies. I came here for change." Then she turned, reached into her coat, and placed a small black flash drive on the center of the table. "This contains 3 days of footage and audio, including internal tags, redirection language, staff expressions, and one employee," she paused, "who still remembers what empathy looks like." A ripple ran through the room. Claire wasn't finished. "If you think this is just about one rude moment at reception, you're not listening. This is about a system that turned kindness into currency and turned women into portfolios. This is about the clients you filtered out before they even sat down. This is about staff who smile on the outside and quietly fall apart behind the doors." Her gaze fell on Ava. "You didn't build this culture, but you polished it. And now you get to choose whether you stand for it or step out of the way." Ava said nothing. Claire looked at the others. "I'm not here to fire anyone," she said calmly, "but I will be removing the mask from this brand." The staff glanced at one another, unsure whether to feel fear or relief. Claire turned to the youngest employee, a woman who looked like she'd never been in a meeting where a founder stormed in. "What's your name?" Claire asked gently. Rachel," she whispered. "Rachel," Claire said softly, "how many clients have you seen redirected in the last month because of a C4 tag?" Rachel's face flushed. Her lips trembled. I don't know. A lot." "Do you believe they deserved it?" Rachel shook her head. Claire nodded once. "Then you're part of the solution, starting today." Then, like a conductor ending a crescendo, Claire stepped back and spoke one final line. "Every code, every filter, every piece of branding that taught you to segment people based on their value to our feed is gone. As of this morning, I've shut down client profiling across all flagship branches." A full pause, one that landed like thunder, in a velvet box. "From now on," she said, "we serve the face in front of us, not the one we wish would walk through the door." And with that, she left the room. As she walked down the hallway, Chloe stepped forward from the shadows. She had heard everything. Her voice shook. "You're really her?" Claire smiled. "Just a woman who finally remembered why she started this." Chloe blinked. "You're going to change all of it?" Claire nodded. "With help, from the right people." Chloe looked at her, something swelling in her chest. Hope, purpose. "Then I'm staying." 3 weeks later, the clinic didn't look different at first glance. The same white marble shimmered. The scent of jasmine still flowed through the air. But if you watched long enough, if you sat in the lobby the way Claire once did, you'd see it. A woman in her 50s greeted first. A nervous college student walked in with blotchy skin, offered tea and a warm smile. An older man, visibly unsure, shown directly to a quiet, private lounge. No rushed eye contact, no coded tablet taps, no silent sorting. Something had changed. The filters were gone, not just from the system, but from the people. Claire stood quietly behind the new reception desk, beside Chloe, who now wore a new badge that read, Client, Dignity and Ethics Lead, K. Sanders. A role that didn't exist until 2 weeks ago, a title that meant more than any influencer ever could. I still get nervous every morning, Chloe whispered as she checked in a new client. Like they're going to find a way to put the codes back in without telling us. They won't, Claire replied softly. They can't. Why not? Claire smiled. Because I didn't just delete the system. I rewrote it. In the days after the confrontation, Claire didn't do press. She didn't post a polished CEO message. She didn't film a video apology with ambient music and soft tears. She did something else. She launched the Dignity Project, an internal training and culture reset that reframed service around respect, not sales. All client categorization was removed. The code system was erased. Consultants were retrained, not to close, but to listen. Each staff member, regardless of tenure, now sat through empathy labs, a 5-hour immersion guided by trauma counselors, body image experts, and formerly rejected clients who volunteered to share what the wrong kind of smile does to someone's soul. Some cried, some quit. Most stayed. Humbled. Claire visited each flagship herself, not as a boss, as a client, as a woman who knew what it felt like to be told, this chair isn't for you. And slowly, it spread. Other brands took notice. A few mocked it at first. But clients, they noticed. Reviews flooded in, not praising, cheek fillers or wrinkle relaxers, but they looked at me like I mattered. I didn't feel like I had to earn my place there. No one tried to sell me confidence. They helped me find it. And it wasn't just clients healing. Inside the clinics, morale rose. Turnover dropped. Staff meetings now included a moment called the mirror check, where one employee could share how a client reminded them of someone they loved and how they chose kindness. Claire didn't speak much publicly during this time. She didn't need to. The story had already told itself. But on the 1-month anniversary of the change, she walked into that same Beverly Hills clinic, alone, no press, no camera crew. She sat in the consultation chair where she was once told she didn't belong. This time, a soft voice greeted her. Welcome, Ms. Whitmore. You're safe here. She smiled, not because it was rehearsed, but because it was real. Later that evening, in her private office upstairs, she sat quietly at her desk, a handwritten letter in front of her, addressed to someone she hadn't spoken to in years, her mother. It read, You were never invisible. They just weren't trained to see you. But now, they are. And it's because of you. Claire folded the letter, pressed it to her lips, and slipped it into a drawer full of other notes, old sketches, and memories that made her who she was before any business existed. The real her. No filters, no masks. Just a woman rebuilding a system she once unknowingly broke. And down in the lobby, a new client walked in. No makeup, nervous, not a size 2, not an Instagram model. Just a woman hoping to feel a little more herself. Chloe stood up, smiled fully, and said, Hi there. We're glad you came in. Let's talk about what you need. And for the first time in a long time, Élan Radiance felt radiant again. If you believe beauty should never come with a filter for who deserves dignity, share this story. And if you want more true stories that challenge broken systems from the inside, hit subscribe. Your voice matters.